Hey guys, if you weren't able to come to the virtual Meet the Teacher or had tech issues or multiple children and you couldn't be in two places at once, just wanted to send out this quick video to go over some of the things. Plus, we aren't quite as rushed, but I promise not to make it very long either. Um, if you haven't spent time with your child going through and getting comfortable with their Google Classroom, have them sit down with you and navigate around and have them explain to you what everything's for, because they should know. They've been in class with us, this is week 4. They should be relatively comfortable with things. But I want to show you some things that will help you help your child. Okay, so within my Google Classroom, I'm just using 5th period as an example. It's organized by week because it gets a little confusing with the A day and the B day, plus keeping up with, A classes when you're coming from elementary and you were used to having one teacher, primary teacher, and then having some specials. So I know that that's a big learning curve. Um, I wanted to let you know that I'm also a middle school parent. I have a sixth grader, and then a 7th grader as well. So I just lived through 6th grade as a parent, and now I'm living through it as a parent and a teacher and virtually. So I'm seeing how it affects on both sides. So Miss Henning as well is in the same situation, and we are trying to make it as parent friendly as possible. So just know I'm on your team. Okay. So looking, I have it by week. Your child can show you, but see how the icons look different? These that look like they have a bookmark are materials. So it's something there to help the child. The ones that look like a clipboard with lines on it, those are assignments. Okay, and if you're trying to see how your child's doing, mine looks a little different up here because mine's the teacher side of the Google Classroom, but they'll have a little icon with a person in it that says view your work. They can always click on that, and they should also have a to-do list function. One of the easiest ways to keep up with your 6th graders' Google Classroom is to put Classroom, like the Google Classroom app, on your phone as the adult. Like my children don't have a cell phone, and so like if I send a message to them, unless they're on the device they do their school on, they won't know that message is coming, so they can't do something about it. So when a message comes through, I see it, and that helps me communicate with them about what's going on with their academics. So I recommend, as the parent, putting the Google Classroom app on your phone, but you also have to make sure your notifications are on. So how to do that? Up in the top, it depends on the device you're on, okay? But just most devices, this little, we call it a hamburger. The main menu, the 3 bars, when you click on it, down at the very bottom, of course it's cut off by my, because I'm recording this video, there'll also be a settings wheel there. Of course it is. But the settings wheel, you want to click on it, and you can change, didn't mean to do that, all the notifications. This is our Zoom life right here, y'all. You want to change it to show notifications. All right, so when a grade is returned, and it's like passing back a paper, right? So you'll know how you did. Or the teacher sends a private message to the student, or sometimes the student will message me, and when I reply, you'll get that notification. Or if something new is posted, like, hey, on Friday we had a power outage. Never dull moment around here. I was able to put a message on the stream to tell that class period that I was missing what to do. Okay, so it's very, very helpful. It helps keep you in the know. You've got it by weeks, so even the older stuff there. But things to help out your child and you, I've put the bell schedule. Some people get a little confused, like with A and B day. Like we had a 3-day weekend after the power outage, and then on Tuesday they weren't sure if it was A or B day. So this is the calendar there that you're welcome. If you have printing capabilities, you can print one off. I know you've gotten it in 4 different emails, but it's always right here, and you'll know where you can find it instead of scavenging through your 5 bajillion emails. This part, the science notebook, is probably one of the most valuable things. Your child should have, of course I don't have one in my hand, but like a composition notebook that they're doing their science work in, because we are virtual, but we're trying to do as much hands-on writing themselves. It's better for their brain, but you need to see it. Or for the child who had technical issues or got knocked off Zoom, or maybe had to go to the orthodontist, I've taken a picture of every page of my science notebook and put it in this file, and I update it all the time. It's updated for today even. So you can go through page by page and put your child's notebook, compare it to this file, and see if it looks the same. It should. If not, I told them during class to, come back and make it pretty. Like some of the little girls, their notes need to be beautiful with their, blue bedazzled markers, which is great. But sometimes we don't have time for that in class. So for a child like that, or maybe it's hard for your child to listen and write at the same time, I told them to focus on listening, and then they could always come back to my notes and fill in the gaps later. Just get the bare bones of it, and then they can come back in, revisit the topic, which is basically studying, and add some more detail to their notes. But it's always here as a resource. So you've got that going. Here with the resources, if you have not already signed up for my Remind, for your child's class period, the code is listed in here. I can't stress enough how awesome this is, because like on Friday when the power went out, I could just send a Remind message, because sometimes that just text popping up is much easier than going through all the emails. And then I send out occasional reminds like, hey, we've got a big assessment coming up or whatnot. Okay, I won't bombard you. It'll just be the important stuff, especially at the beginning when we're trying to get used to everything. Okay, so please sign up for Remind if you haven't. A lot of information is crammed on this document. Normally it would come home on a bright colored piece of paper at the beginning of the school year. Okay, so it's here digitally for you. Here's the different supplies that they normally need for science. Here's my science team. We work really hard to line up 6th to 8th grade. So what we do with them in 6th grade is training them to be better prepared for 7th grade and then 8th grade. So they all kind of have a similar system and a method. And then if you look at the content, you scroll a little further down, here's the things that we're going to be covering in 6th grade. And you see it's basically the introduction to everything. A little bit of chemistry, a little bit of physics, a little bit of biology. So we intro all the sciences. 7th grade is kind of a little time out to do a lot of life science. And if your kid asks, when do we get to dissect a frog? That's 7th grade. But notice the similarity between 6th and 8th. Okay, so I tell the kids that, we do everything. You're just going to do it fancier in 8th grade. So we're setting a good foundation, or we call it 8th grade light. Same thing. We're setting a good foundation for them to be successful. If you're curious about STAR tests, I know this year is strange, but 8th grade is when they take a STAR test. You know how they only had a 5th grade STAR, science STAR? In middle school, it's only in 8th grade. But everything we learn in 6th and 7th plays into it. It's not only 8th grade material. Okay. As far as communication, send me, make sure you're checking Skyward. We've taught the kids how to check their own grades and how to set up notifications for if they have a missing assignment or if their average falls below a certain point. You also can set up those notifications for your children. If you don't know how, your kids should be able to tell you how. If not, feel free to contact me. I'm sure they have it on the Northeast webpage as well. Okay, and we already talked about Remind. In middle school, grading is a little bit different. In elementary, every grade was kind of the same for the most part, but in middle school, things are a little different. In science, this is the breakdown. Okay, it's a little different than it is on a normal year just because we're doing the virtual learning. Okay, but notice the percentages here, especially now at the beginning of the 9 weeks. Every grade has a significant impact. So if there's only 3 grades and you're missing one of them, the highest you could have is a 66. Okay, so it's kind of a shock to the system, a lot of the kids, or when they take that first test and it severely impacts their grade, they don't have the past to understand that. Okay, but it's mathematically driven. You can read the details there for yourself. We do have science clubs and extracurricular. We're not entirely sure how they're going to look this year. We're still getting details on that, so just push pause and for next year. But here's my shameless plug. You're probably used to clipping those little tiny box tops for elementary. We still collect box tops in middle school. Okay, so if you've got some in a Ziploc baggie hiding in the junk drawer, dig those bad boys out. But now most of the things are digital. So there's an app that you can put on your smartphone for box tops, and you just scan your receipt. Easy peasy. So if you haven't loaded that app, please do so and select Tex Hill as your donation recipient. But in middle school, box tops go straight to the science department, which allows us to buy more equipment and chemicals, and it is so wonderful to get that box top check so we can buy all the fun things. So if you haven't already, please add that as on there, or if you need to shift it from the elementary school to benefiting Tex Hill. Pretty please and thank you. Shameless plug. Done. Okay, so this is here to help you out. I think that's everything on our, excuse me, on this page. Oh, tutoring. Tutoring we had every day for the first 3 weeks of school. It's shifting a little bit now that we're phasing students physically in the building. So I'll be available a morning and an afternoon at least, but also Miss Henning, my counterpart. So we will add each other's tutoring links and put the dates and times. We're just getting some clarity on exactly when they're going to be available because we have duty stations we have to be at. So I will clarify this week and send out a notification to you. Okay. Other things. I think I've got it all. But have your child show you their science notebook and go through it with them, and know that if they're A day, they'll have a quiz on Friday. If they're B day, they'll have a quiz on the following Monday. It's their first assessment with science. I'm sure that I rushed through everything. If you want to know a little bit more about me, it's on the Tex Hill webpage. But this is year 20, not my first rodeo. Love middle school. That's all I've ever taught. Love science. And I know middle school brains, which is terrifying, isn't it? So we're doing our best to help them be successful in this crazy time. I have made a Google form for you to give me a little bit of information about you and your child, since we didn't have a chance to interact. I'll be attaching it to the email that had this link as well. And if you ever need anything, feel free to email me. Thanks.